Just good to get out of there with a win on a wet Saturday. Being our only home game, we was hoping for a little bit better weather, but it came a downpour, and I think we did the things you had to do to get out of there with a win on a day like that. So it was good to play in front of the home crowd. I commend our crowd because they showed up and they stayed there throughout the game, and it was just good to get to play at home. So especially in a season like this where you didn't think you get to play at all, and you get to play. But didn't get off to a good start with the kickoff return. Got out of our lanes, gave a kickoff return, got off to spot them 7 points out the gate. And besides that play, I thought special teams was a huge difference in the game. I think we handled the ball well with snapping and punting the football, and we did a nice job there. We also did a good job with the field goals. We're 2 for 2 there, one of them being a 40-something yarder, so I thought we did a nice job there. And we caused, 2 turnovers in the kicking game. We really blocked a punt, and their punter, dropped another ball and kind of fell on it. So I thought that was a huge difference. And then I think the giveaway takeaway was the other biggest factor there. We were able to protect the ball. We had the one turnover, we probably put the game away a little bit. We put the game kind of out of reach maybe on the first drive of the third quarter. We kind of fumbled the ball there, and but we were able to get some turnovers defensively that I thought was huge. So you had some spurts in the game where right before half, I thought we took a 2-score lead. We worked ourselves back in the game, and turn of events, we score. They fumble a kickoff. On the ensuing kickoff return, they fumble, set us up, we get another one in and go up 2 scores at half, which I thought was big. But, going in the game that Coach Cronk and them do a good job. First year there, I knew it was going to be a good football game because the offense they run. And then when the rain came in, it kind of, went that way as well. But defensively, I thought we played really well in the second half. So there's a lot of things. All three phases contributed to the win for sure. But we was, glad to get a good win against a good FCS team. And then moving on this week, looking forward to going to UNA. We've played UNA a few times since I've been here, and it's good to kind of rekindle, old Gulf South rivalry. But the first time we've been up there in quite some time, I think. So I know there'll be a good crowd there, and it's always a great game when we play them. So, they played one game against Liberty. We've gotten 2 in, so I think it's going to be a well-matched game, and it'll be a full quarter game. So our guys are preparing for that this week, and I know against Liberty, just watching them on film, their talent level is really good. Their coaching staff's done a great job of recruiting and handling the move up from Division II to Division I. So I think it's going to be a great game.
John, you're a JSU graduate. Can you kind of speak, just from that perspective about what playing North Alabama and means to you, how that resonates with you?
Well, I try to tell our team about that, and they're not old enough to remember the old Gulf South rivalries and with UNA and Troy and West Alabama and Valdosta, all that bunch. So it means a lot to our alumni, and I know it does theirs as well. So I know both teams will be ready to play, but these guys, they're just ready to get out there and play football, and I know their guys are and our guys are as well. I don't think the rivalry pretty much resonates with them as much as it does alumni from both sides. But I know both groups will be ready to play, and like I said, every time we've played them in the past few years, it's been a great game.
Coach, kind of following up on that, Coach Wilson talked a little bit about the importance of kind of making sure they hung on to this game with everything going on with the pandemic and everything else. From your side, how important was that for you guys? And also, you talked a little bit about seeing them against Liberty. What specifically, I guess, stands out about them as they've moved from year 2 to year 3 in the transition?
Well, I think it was big to hang on to the game, because it gives you a game that's, resonates with our fans and with the old rivalry, and just getting to play, because there's a point where we're one of the few FCS teams playing in the country. So it's big to be able to play this game, and getting to hang on to it in your schedule, I think, was huge. And then I think just moving up, I think they've handled the move up really well. I thought they had a good football team last year. I thought they did well moving up for a first year, and then you can tell an upgrade in length and speed on their football team and athleticism. this year just by watching them against Liberty. So I think they've done a really, really good job in recruiting and getting the right guys in. So yeah, I knew when they announced they were moving up, I knew that they would be a contender, pretty quickly. Just with the history of that program and the success they've had at Division II level for years and years and years, I knew they'd be able to handle the move up really easy, and they've done that, I think. So they got a good football team.
Coach Craig Haley, how are you?
Craig, how you doing, man? You doing okay?
Yes, I didn't mean to interrupt Mo's question. You talked previously about going into the season, how difficult it was to feel prepared going into the season. About 2 weeks in, I mean, do you feel like your team has a comfort level now? They
do, and once you play that first game, you're the second Monday coming in after you play the second one, your body is it gets used to it. So I think last Monday we couldn't even hardly move around, just getting used to playing, for 60 minutes, and then we handled playing for 60 minutes, last week a lot better, and we moved around a lot better yesterday in practice. Just getting used to that game shape and playing 60 minutes. And something we played a lot of attention to, talked a lot about last week, was playing for 60 minutes Saturday, and did not feel like we were able to play for 60 minutes against Florida State in the opener, and we just couldn't hang in there for 60 minutes. And I thought we did last Saturday. So hopefully we'll be getting better with that, this coming week. And and that's what our goal is, to put a good product on the field. And I think it got better last week, and hopefully this week we'll have some good weather, and it's going to be a full 60-minute game this week.
How helpful will playing the 4 games be when you play start the OVC season in February?
I think anytime you got a chance to play, and I think that's where our guys and our staff determine is, if we get a chance to play, we want to play. And anytime you get to, you can practice all you want to, but you don't get game experiences, irreplaceable. You just can't get it anywhere else besides to play games. So I think it's important for we're getting a lot of great evaluation done on guys and getting to play these 4 games this fall.
Sure. Just one more, Coach. How about through the years, what have you come to learn about the 1992 Jacksonville State team that won the Division II title up at North Alabama?
Well, I finished here in '90, so I knew a lot of those guys, and still friends with a lot of those guys today. And just kind of, I think it's a big time. The old Gulf South rivalry, it don't get much better than that in college football. I mean, you had some rivalry games that were close in proximity, and it's tougher to do that in 1AA and FCS football, to where geographically you're separated from a EIU and a CMO and a EKU than you are where it's Troy right down the road, UNA's right here, West Georgia, West Alabama. Just those kind of rivalries, just because of closeness for fans, is those were special years, I think, for Gulf South for sure. So, but there's some wars over the past with UNA, and there will continue to be those. And I'm glad to see them move up and get in a conference, and hopefully this is a rivalry that we can continue year in, year out, and just go home and home with. That would be my vote, and I think both parties kind of feel the same way. This is a game we need to keep on our schedule for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Craig, no offense taken when you asked that question, no worries on that. But Coach Gross, considering how crazy 2020 has been with the pandemic and COVID-19 and whatnot, how does a game like this affect your recruiting? Because now UNA is a FCS team, and you're going to be recruiting, getting for some of the same guys when it comes to getting those guys signed on the dotted line, whether it's the early recruiting period or the one in the spring.
Well, I think any game you play is big for recruiting, right? I mean, but definitely the geographical location of UNA, we're going to cross paths, and we're going to offer the same guys, and we're in the same territories and things like that, just like we are from all the Georgia schools, from Mercer and Kennesaw and things like that. So, most time when one of us offer a kid, the other ones do as well. So I think it is important in that fact of anytime you play a game, you want to win. I mean, I think it's where the Florida State game was disappointing. I think that game would, we'd hung on, won that game. It'd been big for recruiting. So, this week I think when you talk about, hey, you don't have a conference championship to play for, you don't have a national championship to play for this fall, I think it is. You hit on nail on the head. It is big for recruiting, for both teams. So we do have something to play for. So and a lot of our guys cross paths. They know each other. They play with or against each other in high school. So I think that makes the game big and special.
Coach Cross, what's the status of Zion Webb?
He's dealing with a knee injury, so it's not a severe injury. He will be back, just don't know when.
John, Darius is coming up here in a little bit. Just can you kind of speak to what you saw in him when you signed him out of Hamley and then his development?
Well, it's athleticism. We saw him play basketball, and he was all over the field on football. But then when you got on a basketball court, his athleticism stuck out, and we kind of thought he would play down the line for us. So he sat there behind Marlon and some of those guys for a few years, and played on all our special teams, and gave us some quality snaps the last few years. And now he's giving us even more snaps than that. But he's doing a good job for us. I know he's close to the leader, if not leading tackler on the team right now, so after 2 games. So he's doing really well for us and doing what we asked him to do. But everything we saw potential-wise from him, signing him out of high school, we're seeing now on the field.
Coach, could you talk about some of the leadership that Michael Shaddix has been asked to take on this fall?
Well, he worked himself into a role last year and ended up getting hurt later on in the season, tore ACL, and he recovered from that really good. And we was worried about the first of this year of him, getting back to where he was, and he's done that. It's hard coming off ACL and to play any position, and he's at times has been really sore and not 100%, and he's battled through that. And I think that's where his leadership has came in. I think these guys have watched him go through the injury and get back to where he wanted to be, and just being a mainstay up front for us. So he's done a nice job with that.
Coach, I've been able to score touchdowns defensively the last 2 weeks, and obviously it's good to do that any time, but they've really come at key moments in both games. What have you seen from the defense that's allowed them to do that?
No doubt. I think we work the turnover circuit all the time. You like to say you create that in practice, but you just opportune moments, and I think just making a hit, getting the ball out, and then scooping and scoring. That was huge the other day in the rain, and then I think just ball security, especially in a game like that the other day with the wetness. You worry about just hanging on the ball, getting a snap, and hand the ball off, or catching the ball and punting the ball. So I thought we did a nice job with that all day long. But defensively, and I think any time that you go back and look at a year, you can look at the turnover ratio. Good football teams, usually football teams that win championships, they're way ahead in the plus minus category, and we have not been that the past 2 seasons. We need to get back to where we're plus 10 in the takeaway margin. So we got to protect the ball better, and we got to take the ball away. And defensively, we've been able to do that. And you look at that Florida State game. We had the pick 6 deal, and we had a couple other interceptions. We had another pick 6 opportunity. If we make one of those other interceptions, that game is probably a lot different as well.
If I remember correctly, you guys had more rush yards than pass yards. Obviously, conditions, I'm sure, played a factor into that. But just, how good is it to get that going? How key is that?
It definitely is. Our offensive line's just a year older and more mature and playing better right now. But you want to establish a run game, and then you want to be able to throw the ball as well too. There's times in that third quarter, early in the fourth, that we wanted to throw the ball a little bit more than what we did, but it was raining so hard you just couldn't. You need to hand the ball off and protect the ball. So that's kind of what we did. But the weather did dictate that a little bit, and we were not. I think we rushed it for 3.2 yards, 3.2 yards a carry. We wanted to be around that 4 or 5 yards a carry deal, but I think the weather kind of dictated that as well when they're putting 9 and 10 in the box, knowing you got to run the ball.
What's the status of Jackson Luttrell? I know he missed last week.
Yeah, I think he'll be back this week. We're going to gain a lot of folks back off the IR from last week. We really played without 5 or 6 stars defensively, last week. So hopefully we'll get all those guys back this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was pretty rainy, but we knew that going in. The game plan was, we wanted to run the ball, which we did effectively, I felt like. We didn't pass it as much as we do usually, but, we, as an O-line, we knew that it was going to be rainy, so we knew we were going to run the ball more than usual. And I felt like, as a unit, we did that effectively, and we got our job done this Saturday.
Questions for Michael? Michael, could you describe what it was like to come back from that knee injury? And was there any time that maybe you doubted that you would be able to come back to the level that you have?
Yeah. So, I tore it in November the 9th, and I had surgery on November 22nd. And so I started rehab right after surgery. And so I was probably 2 or 3 months out of surgery. And then we get sent home for coronavirus. So that kind of put an uphill battle for me as a setback because usually when you have a surgery like this, you're in rehab every week. You're not having any time off. And so I was having to drive back and forth to get treatment. And then we finally get to come back, and then I had another setback. So, I just had multiple setbacks in my recovery process that kind of gave me doubt and trying to figure out why is it still hurting, or why can't I move like I was doing. But I just trusted our training staff, our medical staff. They do a really great job. I mean, they kept pushing me, and they got me back to where I am today, and I'm really grateful for them.
You going through that, your teammates obviously notice that, and plus you're one of the older guys. It makes you kind of a leader for your offensive line. How do you handle that role, and how do you adapt to that?
Well, it's just I'm not a very vocal leader. I'm more of a lead by example type person. That's just my characteristics. It's just I get here early every day. I do everything right. So I try to show them that if you're doing the right things, good things happen. It's the little things that count that make the big difference on this team.
You say you're not a vocal leader, but you seem like a real outgoing guy.
Yeah, and I just I don't give pump up speeches. I'm not good at pumping everybody up, but I pick them up. If they have a bad play, I'm like, hey, come on, this is probably what happened. You could probably do this, and that's probably going to help it. But I'm not a very pump up speaker, I guess.
Michael, obviously you're playing non-conference teams this fall, but does the disappointment of last year's OVC season still motivate this team? And either way, I mean, what are some of your views of using this fall going into the OVC season?
Well, we didn't get a spring, so that kind of I guess it didn't put us behind the 8 ball, but nobody really got a spring. But we're using these 4 games as getting us ready for the spring. And last year, that wasn't Jacksonville State football. That's not who we were. That really hurt everybody on the team. To not be competing for the OVC championship. To us, that's our first goal is to get to the OVC championship, and then the road to Frisco is the next one. So this year I think we're ready, and we're about to push it back to the OVC championship.
We knew coming in that we were going to have to really put a cap on a lot of these plays because they were running the triple option basically, and we just prepared all week, and I feel like we did a pretty good job on that, but we're still trying to improve.
Darius, this is Joe Medley with the Anniston Star. Can you speak to how good it is to finally be in this position where you've kind of been an understudy behind Marlon and Traco all those years, and now being where you are?
I feel like Marlo and Traco really taught me almost everything I know about the game, along with my coaches. They really took me under their wing when I got here, and I feel like it's just time for me to just show what they taught me, and I'm just trying to really trying to make them guys proud.
Did you play for both Coach Battles and Coach Strain at Handley?
I did play for both Coach Battles and Coach Strain. They were 2 totally different coaches, and they came about things 2 totally different ways, had 2 different philosophies.
What did you learn from both of those guys?
Both of those guys were really more of a really show no mercy to any opponent that we have. Like really just kill everything. Like no matter what you're doing, just really just go about it and take nobody lightly.
Take us back through, recruiting. Who else was on you, and why you chose JSU?
When I was recruiting, really I was more of a basketball guy. I really didn't too much think I was gonna get too many football offers, But Jacksonville State was the first person that came and people that came and recruited me, and I had West Alabama, and I had like some walk-on offers from like Memphis late, but I really didn't have too much going on. But that's really about it.
You mentioned you were a basketball guy. What did you pick up from Coach Drum? What did you learn from him?
Coach Drummond was the type of coach that either you're gonna have tough skin or you're not gonna be able to make it. He really prepared me for this moment that I'm in right now. That with the coaches and how they really interact with their players. Like if I didn't have Coach Drummond and have the thick skin that he really made me have, I don't think I would be as successful as I am today.
And then redshirt in that first year, how hard was that for you? But did it end up being a good thing for you?
Coming in, I feel like every freshman feels like he's ready and feels like he's wanting to play right away. But really, redshirting really helped me to really learn college football and learn a lot of techniques that I didn't learn in high school. And like you said earlier, like Marlon and Traco really helped me out. They really took me under their wing like a little brother and really showed me the ropes.
It sounds like a lot of the coaches you've learned from over the years have been kind of tough-minded, like you said, take no prisoners kind of coaches. Does that kind of go into your personality as a player?
Yes, sir. My personality is just like that as a player. I don't take anybody lightly, and I just want to really, like you said, take no prisoners.
Anything else for Darius?
Weeks, y'all, come up with really key defensive touchdowns. What have you seen from the defense that's, allowed y'all to get those scores? And I know that's gotta be, it's huge for you guys, especially in the secondary.
A lot of the big plays been coming from Kobe Fuquay, and he's really burst on the scene real fast, and I really like what I've seen from him. But a lot of defense, we're unproven guys, and we really want to make a name for ourselves in the defense. Because last year we didn't really like how it ended, and we didn't like the stain that they put on Jacksonville State. We didn't like that we didn't get an OVC championship, and we really have a lot to prove coming back this year, getting ready for the spring and next fall.
Hey, Darius, wanted to ask you, the players, obviously the games with UNA in history have kind of been before you guys were really around, but playing them last year and it being one of the 4 games and having an in-state opponent, what does it kind of mean for you guys to have this game this fall?
That means a lot for us to play North Alabama again this fall. They played us really tough last year and gave us a lot of problems, and we're really trying to clear that up and get it handled this week.